Ever get that feeling like you're, searching for something more? Like the usual paths to knowledge and truths they just aren't cutting it.
Yeah.
Today's deep dive might really resonate with you. We're going to be exploring the teachings of the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood
Okay.
and their take on seekers versus believers, a path of discovery.
Interesting.
So buckle up.
Right.
This is one deep dive you don't want to miss.
Well, what makes this deep dive really intriguing is that the Brotherhood, led by Waxira, they don't offer like concrete answers or dogma.
Oh, interesting.
Instead, their teachings kind of revolve around this core distinction between seekers and believers.
Okay.
And how those approaches shape our journey towards understanding.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit.
Sure.
What exactly do they mean by a believer? Is this just about religion?
Not necessarily. Think of it more broadly. The source material describes believing as like a deeply social act.
Okay.
It's about finding comfort and identity within a group that shares a common set of values and beliefs. Whether that's a religious community, a political party, or even just a social club.
So it's about that feeling of belonging,
Exactly.
being part of something larger than yourself.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is that the source highlights how this desire for belonging can sometimes lead to a resistance to questioning.
Yeah.
There's this focus on maintaining the shared belief system,
Yeah,
even if it means potentially shutting out alternative viewpoints.
that makes sense. It's like questioning the belief system could threaten the group's cohesion, right?
Yeah,
But how do seekers fit into all of this?
right.
Are they just lone wolves who reject all forms of belief?
Not quite. The source material portrays seekers as individuals who are driven by a deep dissatisfaction with conventional explanations
Okay.
and a yearning for something more. They're the ones who constantly question everything,
Okay.
pushing the boundaries of what's considered known or acceptable.
So are they like rebels who go against the grain just for the sake of it?
There's definitely that element of challenging the status quo. Yeah.
But it's not about mindless rebellion.
Okay.
The source emphasizes that seekers are on a quest for a deeper, more authentic understanding. They're not content with the surface level.
Yeah.
They want to dive into the depths,
Right.
even if it means facing uncertainty and discomfort.
I can see how that path could get lonely.
Yeah.
It sounds like venturing into the unknown all by yourself.
Yeah,
Does the source material address that sense of isolation?
it does. And that's where the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood comes in.
Okay.
They provide a space specifically for seekers, not for believers.
So it's like a support system
Yeah.
for those who are on this less conventional path, like
Yeah.
a community of questioners and explorers.
Precisely.
Okay.
But what's really unique about the Brotherhood
Yeah.
is they don't dictate beliefs.
Right.
Instead, they offer what they call foundational truths
Okay.
as starting points for individual exploration.
What makes these truths foundational? Are they like universal principles that apply to everyone?
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
great way to put it.
Okay.
The source mentions a few examples like the interconnectedness of all things, the inherent value of each individual, and the pursuit of wisdom and understanding.
Yeah.
These are presented not as rigid doctrines, but as starting points for personal exploration.
It's like they're giving you a compass and a map, but leaving the actual journey up to you.
Exactly.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is that the source material suggests that seekers often find traditional forms of intellect, the material, emotional, and logical, to be insufficient for this journey.
Wait, so you're saying that seekers actually reject logic and reason?
Well,
That seems counterintuitive.
yeah, it's not so much about rejecting those forms of intellect,
Okay.
but recognizing their limitations.
Okay.
The source suggests that seekers are reaching for a deeper level of understanding,
Yeah.
one that transcends the purely rational or the tangible.
Okay.
They're exploring the realm of spiritual truths,
Right.
which often defy easy categorization or explanation.
yeah.
So it's like the answers they're seeking can't be found in a textbook or proven in a lab.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Imagine trying to explain the concept of love to someone who's never experienced it.
Okay.
You could use logic, describe the physiological responses, even cite poetry and literature,
Right.
but none of that would fully capture the essence of the experience itself.
I'm starting to see what they mean by going beyond conventional intellect.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into a different way of knowing,
Right.
one that's more experiential, more intuitive.
Exactly.
But that sounds incredibly challenging.
It is.
How do they even begin to explore these deeper truths?
Well, according to the source material, seekers use various approaches, from meditation and introspection to exploring ancient wisdom traditions, and even engaging in creative pursuits that tap into their subconscious.
So there's no one-size-fits-all approach. It's about finding what works for you, what resonates with your own unique path.
Precisely. And this is where the source really emphasizes the importance of self-awareness. It's about understanding your own motivations, your own strengths and weaknesses,
Right.
and recognizing what resonates with you on a deeper level.
It sounds like the path of a seeker requires a lot of courage.
It does.
You're essentially venturing into uncharted territory,
Yeah.
questioning everything you thought you knew.
Mm-hmm.
What does the source say about the challenges of this journey?
The source doesn't sugarcoat it.
Okay.
It acknowledges that this path can be lonely, uncertain, and even potentially disruptive to your existing belief systems and relationships.
So how do seekers navigate those challenges?
Right.
Especially when their path is often solitary.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that leads us to the heart of the next part of our deep dive, the importance of community for the seeker.
Okay, bring it on.
All right. It's fascinating how the source material emphasizes this seeming paradox for seekers.
That's okay.
The path itself is often solitary, a journey of deep introspection and questioning. But at the same time, it really underscores the need for connection, for, finding your tribe, so to speak.
It sounds almost contradictory.
Right.
How can you be on a solitary journey and still crave that sense of community?
Well, think about it. Even the most independent, trailblazing seekers,
Right.
they're still human.
Yeah.
They still need support, encouragement, and the opportunity to share their insights and challenges with others who understand their journey.
So it's like they need a space where they can be themselves.
Exactly.
Express their doubts and discoveries without feeling judged or pressured to conform.
Exactly. And that's where the idea of a community, specifically for seekers, becomes so crucial.
Okay.
The source specifically mentions the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood as an example.
Okay.
But it emphasizes that this community doesn't have to be a formal organization.
No.
It could be a group of friends, a book club, an online forum, or even just a couple of people who share that same thirst for knowledge. Right.
And willingness to challenge conventional thinking.
It's more about finding those kindred spirits.
Exactly.
Those people who get you, who encourage your curiosity, and who can offer support when the path gets tough. Because let's face it, questioning everything you thought you knew can be pretty unsettling.
Absolutely. And the source material doesn't shy away from the darker aspects of the seeker's past.
Right.
There's the potential for loneliness, isolation, even a sense of disillusionment when the answers you're seeking don't come easily.
So how does the Brotherhood, or any community of seekers for that matter, help navigate those challenges? What kind of support do they offer?
From what I'm gathering from the source material, it's about creating a space where vulnerability is welcomed, where doubt isn't seen as weakness, but as a natural part of the process.
Right.
It's about sharing experiences, both the triumphs and the struggles. And knowing that you're not alone on this journey, I can see how that would be incredibly valuable. It's like having a safety net, knowing that even if you stumble or get lost along the way, there are people who will understand and help you get back on track.
Exactly.
But isn't there a risk of groupthink? Even within a community of seekers, like couldn't they end up forming their own set of rigid beliefs?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And the source acknowledges this potential pitfall.
Yeah, okay.
It emphasizes that true seeker communities are built on a foundation of mutual respect and open-mindedness.
Yeah.
It's not about dictating a new set of beliefs, but about fostering an environment where individuals can continue to evolve and explore their own unique paths.
So it's like the community is there to support the individual journeys.
Exactly.
Not to homogenize them.
Right.
It's about celebrating the diversity of thought and experience.
Precisely. And this brings us to a really important point about the nature of seekers versus believers. It's not about choosing one side or the other. It's about recognizing that these approaches represent different ways of engaging with the world, with knowledge, and with ourselves.
So it's not an either-or situation.
Exactly.
It's more about recognizing the strengths and limitations of each approach and finding a balance that works for you.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that the source material suggests that even within ourselves, we might embody both the seeker and the believer,
Okay.
depending on the context or the area of life we're exploring.
You mean like someone might be a seeker in their professional life,
Yeah.
always pushing boundaries and innovating,
Yeah.
but a believer in their personal life,
Exactly.
finding comfort in traditional values and rituals.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
And it highlights the complexity of this whole concept. It's not about labeling ourselves
Right.
or putting people into neat boxes,
Okay.
but about understanding the nuances of how we approach the world and how those approaches can shape our experiences.
I'm starting to see how this distinction between seekers and believers goes way beyond just religious or spiritual beliefs.
Yeah,
It's about a fundamental way of being in the world.
it is.
It affects how we learn, how we form relationships, and ultimately how we make sense of our place in the universe.
That's a really insightful observation.
Makes
And it leads us to the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
where we'll explore how these concepts can play out in the real world
Okay.
and what implications they have for the choices we make, the impact we have, and the kind of world we want to create.
You know, it's amazing how this conversation about seekers and believers has really broadened my perspective.
Yeah.
It's like we've zoomed out from the individual level,
Right.
and now we're looking at how these approaches can impact society as a whole.
That's exactly where the teachings of the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood get really interesting. It's not just about personal growth. It's about understanding how these different approaches shape our collective reality.
So how does that play out in the real world?
Right.
Can you give me some concrete examples?
Absolutely. Think about how we consume information in today's world.
Okay.
A believer might stick to news sources or social media groups
Right.
that reinforce their existing views,
Okay.
but a seeker might actively seek out diverse perspectives, even those that challenge their own assumptions.
Like the difference between staying in your comfort zone
Right.
versus venturing out into uncharted territory.
Exactly.
One feels safe and familiar,
Yeah.
while the other can be challenging but ultimately more expansive.
And this doesn't just apply to information consumption.
Okay.
It can influence how we approach problem solving, decision making,
Right.
even our relationships with others.
Okay.
A believer might rely on established norms or traditions,
Right.
while a seeker might be more inclined to question those norms
Yeah.
and look for innovative solutions.
I'm starting to see how this dynamic between seekers and believers could actually be a driving force for progress and innovation.
Yeah.
Like you need the believers to maintain stability
Right.
and uphold traditions, but you also need the seekers to challenge the status quo
Right.
and push for positive change.
That's a really insightful observation.
Thanks.
The source material hints at this idea of a delicate balance between these two forces.
Right.
Too much emphasis on belief can lead to stagnation or even dogma,
Yeah.
while too much focus on seeking can create chaos and instability.
So it's like finding that sweet spot where tradition and innovation can coexist and complement each other.
Exactly.
That seems incredibly challenging in today's world where everything feels so polarized
It is.
and people are digging in their heels on their beliefs.
That's true. And the source material doesn't offer easy answers or quick fixes,
Okay.
but it does provide some guiding principles
Okay.
that can help us navigate these complex dynamics. Remember those foundational truths we talked about earlier?
Yeah, the interconnectedness of all things.
Exactly.
The inherent value of each individual.
Right.
The pursuit of wisdom and understanding.
Precisely.
Right. But how do those abstract principles help us deal with real-world conflicts and divisions?
Well, the source suggests that these truths can serve as a common ground,
Okay.
a shared foundation from which to engage in meaningful dialogue, even when we disagree on specific beliefs or approaches.
So it's like remembering that we're all part of the same human family,
Yeah.
even if we're on different paths or have different perspectives.
Right.
It's about finding that common thread of humanity that connects us all.
Exactly. And the source emphasizes that this recognition of our shared humanity is essential for creating a more compassionate, understanding, and just world.
Right.
It's about moving beyond the us versus them mentality and embracing a more inclusive and collaborative approach.
That's a powerful message, especially in a world that often feels so divided.
It is.
But how do we actually put those principles into practice? It feels like such a daunting task.
It starts with individual awareness
Okay.
and a willingness to challenge our own biases and assumptions.
Right.
Are we truly open to hearing different perspectives, even those that make us uncomfortable?
Right.
Are we willing to step outside of our own echo chambers?
Yeah.
and engage in respectful dialogue with those who hold different views.
I think that's a really important question for all of us to consider.
Yeah,
It's easy to get caught up in our own beliefs
it
and
is.
forget that there are other valid ways of seeing the world.
Right.
But how do we encourage that kind of open-mindedness and dialogue on a larger scale?
Right.
It feels like such a systemic problem.
The source material suggests that it starts with fostering environments where curiosity and critical thinking are valued.
Okay.
It's about creating spaces where people feel safe to ask questions
Right.
and to explore different perspectives without fear of judgment or reprisal.
So it's about education,
Yeah.
about creating a culture of inquiry and open-mindedness.
Exactly.
But it also sounds like it requires a shift in our values,
Mm,
a recognition that diversity of thought is a strength, not a threat.
absolutely. And that's where the teachings of the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood come full circle.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that both seekers and believers have a role to play in creating a more harmonious and enlightened world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Mm.
I'm left with this sense of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the path of a seeker might be challenging,
Right.
even though we might encounter uncertainty and discomfort along the way,
It's part of the journey.
the pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and connection is ultimately a journey worth taking.
It is.
And remember, you don't have to walk that path alone.
Right.
Seek out those kindred spirits,
Yeah.
those fellow travelers who inspire you,
Mm-hmm.
challenge you, and
Right.
support you on your journey.
Exactly.
Because ultimately, the pursuit of a more compassionate understanding and just world is a collective endeavor.
Well said.
That's a beautiful thought to end on. And I encourage our listeners to reflect on their own journeys.
Yeah.
Are you a seeker, a believer, or perhaps a blend of both?
Good question.
And how can you use your unique approach to contribute to creating a world that reflects the values of interconnectedness, compassion, and wisdom?
The journey continues, and the answers, as always, lie within a